Coming up on OTH, Raymond and I discuss the first patch of the new Season 12. We go over the new champion Zeri's abilities, and we also talk about who we are looking forward to in this weekend's games of the LCS Lock-In tournament. We hope you enjoyed this episode of On the Hunt. Welcome everybody to episode 41 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast. I'm your co-host Chris, aka The Lightweight. Because I found out over winter break, dude, that I actually really like hard seltzer. After I found out like what it actually is, like I didn't know what White Claw was, or like what Trulies are, and I love them a lot.
Did you have an idea of what they were, and you just didn't?
I mean, I figured they were just like I figured it's just like modern Mike's Hard Lemonade or something like that. But I've never had one until like a couple weeks ago, and now I've been sipping them bitches back to back.
All right, okay, I appreciate that. I feel like I respect hard seltzers. It's a good easy drink.
It is, dude. Just
how you gonna
crack
knock
one
it?
open after a hard day of work.
Yeah, exactly.
And joining us on this episode is for the 2022 season is our other co-host Raymond. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good, man. I'm wondering, is it really episode 41, or are we season 2, episode 1? What's the thought there?
I prefer 41 because I just like to see the numbers get bigger. I'm a simple man. What do you think?
You're like the cookie clicker kind of guy. I can respect that.
Exactly.
Yeah, we can stick with 41 then.
Yeah, I just don't like to feel like my progress is starting over. I want to make sure that what we did before, we're still building on top of that.
Yeah, that's fair. It's kind of like, though, if you wanted it to be like, it could be like now you get to kind of re-roll your character, like with everything that you've known that you learned in your first run. Like
oh yeah, like new game plus. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Maybe, yeah, because don't ever go back to those older episodes because our voice sounds terrible.
But we figured it out. We're rolling.
New year, new us. I hope.
Maybe, yeah. At least the good parts can stay, right?
I hope so. Speaking of the good parts, hopefully the good parts stayed in the newest patch of the new season, patch 12.1 with the new ranked season. And actually, I would say that I'm pleasantly surprised with this patch because I opened it up and I expected there to be a million changes. And maybe that's just because my mind has been warped by TFT patches where like every patch like fundamentally warps the meta because they nerf 10 things and buff 10 other things, and now you just don't know what works anymore. But
yeah.
This patch is actually really small with just like literally less than 5 champion changes, less than 5 item changes, the teleport change we were talking about in the preseason, and that's pretty much it. Is there anything you want to talk about in this patch?
No, I mean, I think you've in you barely saying anything, you've kind of covered the whole thing already. I was like almost surprised to see the changes that we did see. Like the Diana changes, I was like, did she even need a buff in the jungle? I thought she already did a shit ton of damage with her passive to monsters and stuff, but they pushed that up. I think I like the changes to shield bow, just like nerfing the shield overall and its damage effectiveness. So it's good to not have to see, Yasuo, Yone, Fiora, Aurelia, Wukong, whoever wants to run that, go and run shield bow and fuck people up. So I think those are the major ones for me.
Yeah, and then we're pretty much going to talk about the whole patch here. I like the Wits End nerf as well. It felt kind of weird to see Wits End being part of like the recommended item set for 80 carries when like for so long it was just build crit and build BF sword item, build a Zeal item, then build Last Whisper. That's the recipe. And then all of a sudden last year with the way that Wits End was, and sometimes Guinsoo's was involved in there here and there. Wits End was pretty strong for a majority of the year. I would say most of the year actually, and then got to see that they're still doing some touches here as well to the Magic Resist.
Yeah, it's a little like that one. It seems fine to me, like looking at it, but I was a little surprised by it too. Like I don't know. There's Wits End is like one of the few on like that topic of it being an 80 carry item. It's like one of the few that is not a crit item. Like thrown in there. Like Guinsoo's is still a crit item, even though it changes it to like on hit damage, right? And Wits was like the one that felt like, yeah, if you want to go on hit, you can go it, and it's a decent defensive option. Like you can build an ARAMs on champs like that, you know. But it's still not crit, which I don't know. Like that used to be obviously how like 80 crit items were built, right? Like you had a select few crit items, and that's how you actually got crit chance, and then you would have to pick between like Bloodthirster and other stuff that was AD and other utility, but not necessarily crit, and then now it's just all wrapped into one. So a little weird, but it's fine. I doubt it's gonna be that big.
Speaking of a little weird, but it's fine. We got to talk about the new changes that they've done to the ranked armor and the turning them into ranked crests, which is pretty
Uh
much the
huh.
new look for the loading screen and also, lobbies as well for your previous season and current season ranking.
Yeah.
What do you think about them? Because I think that it looks nice and minimalistic. I kind of like the whole new look, and I hope that they bring this into the new client TM soon.
Yeah, I think like I've seen a lot of people upset about it and like weird champing it, but like I think what's probably the weirdest is that there's like other stuff that's gonna go into the profiles and the banners and shit that they haven't come out yet. Like they've teased about it, like it's like other like Eternals kind of stuff or like achievement that go like where your like role selection used to be, and they've moved like some stuff around in like the lobby screen, and right now I feel like just the little rank border isn't as big, and like you don't see as like there's just less stuff there, and so it looks like a whole lot of empty space, and people are like, what the fuck is this, why is this so stupid looking? But like it seems weird that they decided not to put everything out for that at once. But I do kind of like, I think, yeah, I'm with you that I think it looks fine. I'm
Yeah,
down with it.
and I think it's the MMO weeb inside of me. I like that they look like wings, I guess.
Yeah,
But
that's
that's pretty
fair.
much it. Yeah, and I hope that they're gonna. Well, they are going to add more, and I can't wait to see what else they put in. In and around it. The one thing I don't like is that with this change, they took away some information and some other things. Like for example, um, if you click on people, you can't see like what division of the tier that they're in, so you can't see if somebody is in Diamond 3 or Diamond 2 anymore.
Mm.
And then for my TFT dweebs, I like can't see other people's ranking inside of the loading screen anymore for hyper roll or anything like that. So I can't complain about being matched up with people higher than me anymore.
Now you have no excuse.
No, not really. And then the
I
last thing.
do.
Oh, go ahead.
I was gonna say I do think the loading screen border looks like maybe a little weirder. Like those feel like they got less fun.
Yeah, because it doesn't like protrude as much from the champion portrait or anything like that. So
Yeah,
it
yeah,
just like
it's
lays flat on top, and the loading screen they look a little bare. So I hope more gets added there as well.
yeah.
Especially as you become higher tiers. Like if there were ways to signify platinum 4 3 2 1, just by the look of it, that'd be cool.
Also, one real quick one more. Did you like the like armor that went around your icon before anyway? That I feel like when that came out, everybody was like, "What the fuck is this too?" Like, and I don't know that I got like better by like they didn't change it. It still was kind of weird the whole time. I feel like this is a better move to just have like a nice looking border rather than do the whole like armor and armor upgrade stuff that they had before.
I didn't really play that much ranked when they started doing the armor stuff like 2 years ago. Like I always got like the rank 1 armor because I played for like
Mm,
the first half of the year, and then I never did
right.
like season 2 or season 3 or part 2 or part 3 of like the ranked armors. I, I,
Right.
I mean, it was cool when like you queue up and it like clamps over your icon, and now everybody sees your border like unmistakably of what rank you are. So
But I
it,
like
it
my
was it
icon. I
was
pick my icon because I like my icon. Why does it go away?
that's true. I mean, yeah, the armor was okay, and this is okay. If I had to pick one, I'm gonna miss the armor clamping thing, and I'm just gonna miss how in your face it was. But
Yeah.
the new look, I could jive with it.
All right. That's all I got for those things.
Yeah, me too. And then yeah, so not much else in this patch. The one thing I wanted to point out in the bug fixes that kind of caught my attention was fix a bug where Bard's R, Tempered Fate, did not interact with Glacial Augment correctly. Like what? What do you mean? How is it supposed to react? Like, how is it supposed to go together? I'm a little curious what it was supposed to do before, or what it did before, and what it's supposed to do now.
Yeah, I do wonder. It seems like I thought I remember seeing it where it would like you'd ulti and it would do the thing, but then like that feels wasted because you're missing like a lot of the uptime on it. So maybe that was it. Maybe they just took away it like procking, but I actually don't know.
Yeah, who knows? And then also with this patch came Elderwood Gnar and Elderwood Rek'Sai. They look kind of weird, but I like them.
Yeah, that's I mean they're fine. They're champs that nobody plays, right? So like good for them. They got some love.
Yeah, there are weirdos. I, all right, let's take a break from the game and head into the world of LoL esports. This
Hell yeah.
weekend is going to be the kickoff for the LCS year with the LCS Lock-In tournament. And pretty much explained is that there's going to be two groups. I believe 100 Thieves. It's like when you used to play in like middle school or high school, and the teacher makes you play basketball, and then there's just like two captains who pick the teams and stuff like that. So that's pretty much it. Where
Not
100,
quite actually.
not really.
It was a nemesis draft. Like so 100 Thieves and
Oh, you pick for the other group.
Cloud9 or whoever, yeah, whoever were the top two, right? They went and like took turns like going back and forth picking for the other group. So it was like 100 Thieves they won, so they picked the first team to go into the other group. And
Right.
then the team from the other side got to pick one for you, and then the teams that got picked on the next round like got to pick for the like other side as well. So it went like that. So every team except the last two got to pick who would go into the next group from like who's remaining.
Yes. So, yeah. So the placements of the teams within the two groups kind of gave you an indicator of how the teams assess each other's power levels a month ago, because that's when this
Right.
all happened. Interestingly, and then, but before we talk about what's going to go on with that, let's talk about some of the LCS teams and their imports not coming to the United States and pretty much being unable to make it in time for the LCS Lock-In tournament. Starting with
Yeah.
Cloud9, I think they put out, or actually, I don't know if they put out anything, but I think LS went on stream and he was saying something that pretty much the Korean players involving Summit, Berserker, and the support, is it Winsome? They won't be able to come to the LA and the LCS until February. And as such, they'll be replacing people with parts of their academy team as necessary to participate in the lock-in tournament. You want me to just go on, or you have any thoughts here?
I mean, I think just continue. Spit the facts first, because
Okay, yeah, and then
that's pretty much all that's going on here.
the other team to announce that they're going to have to do some changes for the lock-in tournament is also TSM, who would pretty much announced that also they're not going to have their full team available for the LCS lock-in tournament, and so they're just going to field their whole academy team. Fuck it, for the entire thing. So, what do you think
Mm.
about these two announcements from these two teams? It seems like there's pretty much these two teams with a lot of Asian players. They just won't be here in time for the lock-in tournament.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's COVID stuff. It's hard to get visas. Like that all is kind of to be expected at this point for NA. Like I can't remember the last time that we had a full off season or a spring split that started with like no issues for any team, right? I think the other one that I also remember hearing is that Pride Stalker, who's the new jungler for Golden Guardians, he's not going to make it in time. But I'm pretty sure most of the other teams have everyone that they expect to have at this point.
Yeah, that's a good
TL
catch.
TL having like a whole bunch of EU guys have managed to get their whole team here, so it's a surprise.
Right. I think I saw that the top laner, Whipwo, he just came like over the weekend, and I believe Hansama has been here as well. So everything checks
Yeah,
out on their end so far.
and they've both been here like on and off at least like over the last couple of months too. So
Yeah, so I'm
feel
glad
how
that
their
it's
shit work
not
together.
doom and gloom for every team, and at least a lot of the Europeans are getting through. It just seems to be out of China and Korea, some of these players are having trouble getting to the United States of America.
Yep. And I'm not too bad. What do you think about like running the academy players? Like in TSM's case, like running a full squad. Like, do you think that matters for lock-in? Should they feel bad about it? Should people be giving TSM flame? Because I don't think so.
So I mean, it's really just the two players, right? The mid and the support who would be gone, and so
Right.
they would still have Huni, Spica, and Tactical, and I'm not sure. Do you have any thoughts on this on that on feeling the whole academy roster instead of doing like a half or something like that?
Honestly, it seems like pretty fine to me. Like that's I think one thing that you saw last year, right, with like when FlyQuest subbed out their whole roster for LCS, like it's a weird that's a weird thing that it's like in the middle of the season. Those are games that really matter, right? Like why would you do that unless weird shit is going on in your org? But like for something like Lock-In, I think that it's a good opportunity for academy players to like, kind of show your stuff. It's a different environment regardless of if it's lock-in or regular season or the playoffs or whatever. But it's like still the main stage time. So I think it's pretty cool that they get a chance to do that. And I think it makes more sense to, if you're like seriously considering like synergy stuff or whatever, like it makes more sense to have one team that's like the team that's supposed to play, right? Like play all together rather than like Huni and Spica and Tactical have all been scrimming however they've been scrimming, right, the last couple weeks, and now, or like over the boot camp that they had in Korea or something, right? And now you're gonna say like, but instead for this tournament, you're just gonna have to play with like Takeover and Yurson, who are people you usually don't play with anyway, like, but figure it out, and then you have to scrim for a few weeks so that you show up like competitively. You don't get to scrim with your normal teammates, like they're just getting sitting and watching, whatever. Like it makes sense to me. And then it screws up the academy team too, right? Like if they like proving ground stuff, I think some tournaments have already started or whatever. Like if they can't play with their normal guys, then you're screwing up their flow as well. So down with it.
Yeah, I'm with you on playing with the whole team in its entirety, um, rather than doing splitting a different mid and support just for the LCS games, or either they have to do some double time work like how Kuma was doing last year.
Right.
And then especially if the entire communication structure is going to be different for the main LCS roster, then yeah, might as well not have them build some communication skills and then having to shift that when the two LPL LDL players come into the main roster, probably also next month as well.
Yeah, the hope is just that it doesn't take too long, right?
Yeah,
If you because if you did have to go, like that would be the shitty part, is if they had to play like week one of LCS after a couple weeks of lock-in and they still didn't have their teammates. Then you probably feel like you're half and half roster because you want the real LCS players in, but we'll come to that if it happens.
okay, so now that we've got the little caveats out of the way, now we can talk about the LCS Lock-In tournament taking place this weekend. The first part of it is going to be 4 days of like group stage, so to speak. So where each team will play the other team in their groups once each, I believe,
Hmm.
and then the top
You're
four
right.
teams from each team will go on to the top four teams from each group, meaning 8 teams, will go on to pretty much the quarterfinals, and the fifth place from each is eliminated for the rest of the rest of the tournament. And so yeah, I mean LCS starts this weekend on Friday, 2:30 p.m. to 6:30, allegedly. Well, 6:30 is
Allegedly.
the start time of the last game. I mean, I kind of miss LCS, and it's been a little different missing LCS weekends ever since pretty much the end of August. Um,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's the return of like pretty much your weekends being occupied with LCS on the second monitor. Hopefully, the return of co-streaming as well, or watch parties. I forget what they're calling it now. Um, are you
Oh,
excited
I
for
think
any
I
matches
saw it.
going on?
Yeah, we'll talk about the co-streaming stuff after this, but I don't know that I haven't looked at all the matches yet, honestly. Like I kind of like as you were talking there, I was like, shit, I have to look at the schedule again. So I just pulled it up. Um, but we got some bangers off the top. TSM 100 Thieves, and then
TSM Academy.
Cloud9. Yeah, TSM Academy versus 100 Thieves. But I feel like that's like those are the kind of matchups that are still hype because it's like imagine 100 Thieves loses, right? Like this is the 100 Thieves that is literally the LCS champion right now.
Uh
And then
huh.
you go into lock-in first match and it's like we're playing our whole roster. We're the LCS champion. We're gonna stomp this fucking tournament. And then you get bopped by some academy team. Like how embarrassing.
Yeah, that would be pretty
But
funny. Yeah, so it looks like they're each day Friday is going to be like all one group. Saturday is going to be all of one group. Um, Sunday is going to be a mixture of the two groups, and then we'll come back next Wednesday or next Friday to finish out the group stage.
Yeah.
So that's how it's looking like it's going to be. And so, yeah, I'm excited. We're going to get to see pretty much every team play this weekend multiple times, 3 times each, I believe.
Yeah, for each team. 3 or 4, right? 3 this weekend. 3 this weekend. And the Friday match day next week.
Yeah. So, yeah, I'm looking forward to the matches, but I don't know. A lot of stuff changed in the off season. So I'm not really too sure who to root for this time around, other than like 100 Thieves is the same team and they won the last time. So they're, I've got high hopes for them to run it back and still show that they're strong moving into the new season, which not a lot of stuff changed except just some new dragons and some new items, but nothing too big like, adding Gale Force and now everybody has to play around that, or adding Stride Breaker
True.
and Gore Drinker. And now you just have to learn those things.
Yeah, definitely definitely it's going to be not that huge of a off-season meta impact, I feel like, but I agree with you. The 100 Thieves has got to be like the most exciting or most favored team going into this. Like this is now, if you think about it, this is now like the third year in a row, right? The 100 Thieves gets to like their team core is all together, right? Like the FBI who he closer core is all still together. And another year now, like I mean, they switched up mids, right? Like this is technically gonna only be Abadaga's second split, and some days only his third, like as part of this like five kind of. But I mean, they're the LCS champion, so you expect big things from them. I think the other one's got to be TL that I'm excited for though. Like just again having the full team, and then having like how this storied kind of players that they have now between Core and Bjergsen and Hansama and Guipo and fucking I don't even remember who their jungler is now. They still have Santorin, right? Yeah, Santorin. Like, geez. Um, so they'll be exciting to watch. And then I think my dark horse for the tournament is still going to be EG. Just with the JoJo Danny roster, I hope they pop off. Lock-In should be an exciting time for fiestas to happen for that kind of team.
Yeah, I'm really excited for Evil Geniuses, like you were saying, just to see some new blood get in there and have some fun with JoJo and Danny's not new blood, but he's still a youngin.
He's pretty new blood, dude. I'd still give him new blood.
Yeah, I mean he
He
didn't win
hasn't
the
even had a full
split.
year.
He didn't win the split in his first split like Abadage. Um,
Yeah, true.
yeah.
Abadaga, the storied rookie. This, yeah, yeah,
But
pure NA talent.
yeah, I'm looking forward to see how the offseason has treated them after not having gone to Worlds and having a bit of a few members change in their team. I'm looking forward to see their matches against Team Liquid this weekend. But yeah, that's pretty much it. I mean, like the LCS teams are going to play in the lock-in tournament for the next 3 weeks: group stage, quarterfinals, semifinals, and then the finals. We'll talk more about next week about how the teams are looking so far, and we can give a better assessment on them with caveats for Cloud9 and TSM so far.
Yeah, and honestly, we just have to wait until next week because, like, I don't even remember who's on what team at this point besides like those three that we talked about. So
I know, right?
it'll be good to see them all in action, and you can get some, some faces to the names, kind of thing.
For sure. Now back to League of Legends. They announced a new champion who is actually out now on PBE, named Zeri, hailing from Zon, I believe, who looks pretty cool. It's like electricity themed. And I'm just gonna go over her different abilities, pretty much how this as they're written on the League of Legends website for the ability rundown. So her passive is, or I believe it's a girl.
Yes, yes.
Okay. Her passive is a living battery. Zeri gains movement speed whenever she receives a shield, and when she damages an enemy shield, she absorbs its energy, shielding herself. So a little bit of anti-shield mechanics here. Anything so far? I mean,
Nah, anti-shield, and then also noting that it's, you know, kind of tying her to bot lane a little bit by giving her the like ally shield synergy. So you want a lane partner with you
oh, true.
most of the time.
And I wonder if you're gonna get that shield off of Airy as well, so that people like Nami can give you like this buff. You know.
Yeah, surely, yeah.
Her Q is called Burst Fire, which has a passive and an active. The passive portion, her basic attacks deal magic damage, scaling with AP, and is treated as an ability. Moving and casting her Q stores up energy in her Spark Pack, and when it's fully charged, then her next basic attack will slow and deal bonus damage. So it sounds like it charges up kind of a little bit like Storm Razor, and then the next auto, when it's all charged up, will slow and deal bonus damage. But then it also does bonus 8p magic damage on every auto. The act.
Yeah, and then
Oh, go ahead.
go with her active. Yeah, I was just gonna say, and then read the active. Read the active.
Yeah, and then her active is her Q shoots out a burst of 7 rounds that deal physical damage to the first enemy hit. So I'm thinking it's a skill shot. Burst fire scales with AD and is treated like an attack, with the first round applying on hit effects. Its cooldown matches her basic attack timer. So I guess you can just Q all the time. Is that how I'm reading that?
Yeah, so basically, and I listened to Riot August, who's the champion designer. I watched some of his stream last night where he was playing Zeri on PvE and talking about her. But basically, it's like the champ is kind of FPS inspired, where it's like your Q is your main auto attack essentially. It's a skill shot, so you're like you can run and gun with it kind of. And then as you hit Qs, it like charges up the damage for your like right click auto, which will be the slow and magic damage thing. So like you can like Q, and then you auto to slow them, and then you can hit your Q, like that kind of stuff. But you're basically just spamming Q the whole time, like old Evelyn kind of thing.
Oh wow, okay. That's actually like really different.
Yeah, yeah, and it's the other thing that is to note about this is that the Q, the active part of it, that's your essentially your basic attack, is like you said, it shoots like a burst of 7 rounds. And so if you're looking to shit stomp Zeri players on day one when they don't know what they're doing, you should pick something like Leona or a Mumu, where they have the flat damage reduction built into their kits, and then each of those 7 little rounds that scales up to do like one total auto of damage will do like negative damage on each attack.
Wow, pulling out the tips and tricks already. You should have saved
Right?
that for
Yeah.
the pick of the
Sorry.
week.
True. I should have saved this for after the first week so that I could be a Zeri main on day one.
Yeah, and then abuse it after that in both
Right.
ways.
Exactly.
Zeri's W is called Ultra Shock Laser. Zeri fires an electric pulse that slows and damages the first enemy hit. If the pulse hits a wall, it fires a long range laser from the point of impact. So that just reminds me of Zoe E, where if it hits a wall, then it kind of extends a little further, if I'm looking at that correctly. And it looks like an ultimate as well. Like it just looks,
Yeah.
you know, ultimate level cool. But I guess that's 2022 for you.
True. Season 12 champs already hitting different.
Yeah, I mean, so we've gone through two abilities so far, Q and W, and they both slow.
True. Part of them at least.
Yeah.
Q part of Q. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
For her E, it's a little bit of a dash. She dashes a short distance and energizes her next 3 casts of burst fire, causing them to pierce through enemies. Uh, if you dash into a wall, then she'll kind of jump over it like Talon, depending on the angle. And hitting a champion with the attack or ability reduces the E's cooldown. So, what do you think about those two parts so far? You know, the first part where like it enhances your next couple of autos, so to speak, kind of like a little bit like Gwen. That's what it reminds me of. And then also the part where you can dash into walls and like become Bard or Talon.
Yeah, I mean, I think the Pierce thing is kind of cool. I mean, it's just like it reminds me of like because it's in the bot lane, it reminds me of Xayah attacks too. Just like going through enemies.
Yeah,
I don't know how big it is, how like much of a difference it makes, but maybe it's just so you can. I guess it's because otherwise your Q being a skill shot would get hit by minions. So like this way you can kind of like Q forward and not worry about like minion box or something like that.
yeah.
Um,
I think that like
and
the area of
yeah.
effect behind the person is not that big actually. Maybe like half of the explosion of Lysandra Q or something like that.
I I'm pretty sure it's just like a like line like a I don't think it's actually like a burst
Oh,
from
yeah, it's not a cone. But yeah, like
yeah
the
I don't
little
think it's
bit
a
of an
cone. I think it's
area
just like a
behind it.
right
But yeah, you can think of it like Lysandra Q, I think. Of like you hit something and it hits something behind it as well. But
right
as you were
well
saying,
I do I
more like Xayah
yeah
Feathers. I'm tripping.
yeah I think it's Xayah feathers because it just goes straight. I don't think it gets bigger. That's
No,
the
yeah,
main
you're right.
point. But I do think the vaulting over stuff is kind of cool. It sounds like it's pretty like it sounds to me like it'll be annoying for enemy champs. You know, it's gonna be like the like you said, Bard and Talon shit, where it's like, oh, you're ganking me. Never mind, I'm going over this giant wall and you can't. but at the same time, it sounds like it can be pretty unforgiving too. Like since you can dash on the ground, like no penalties, right? Like you can't talon E like in the middle of the lane. And so one of the things that can happen is if you E and it's like not at the right angle, like to go through a wall or something, like it's not gonna forgive you and be like, oh, you probably meant to go over the wall, and it'll just give you like the little shitty, like when you do a bard portal and it just like goes an inch over like nothing in the wall, right? Like you don't get to see that like it's gonna do that, or like you don't have the intuition that it's gonna do that, and you'll just dash and do the little shit dash and not go over a wall and be screwed. So I feel like this will be one of those that you have to get pretty used to for it to be really impactful.
Yeah, I mean, like, as somebody who has spent like countless time practicing third Riven Q over walls and stuff like that, I imagine people are just gonna have to do that with Zeri E. And I wonder if there will be an indicator with when you're not smart casting of whether or not you're gonna interact with the wall or terrain or something like that. I wonder if they're gonna put something in like that. But um,
Yeah, I think it does do that. I did see
oh
people
really?
playing with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, it just reminds me of like Riven third Q. Like it can go over walls if you do it right. If but like it
Hmm.
takes some practice, and you definitely have to like make sure you're facing the right way before you do it.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think for the obvious ones, like where you're doing roaming and like getting back to lane, like that kind of traversal, like you can do that easily. Um, and it should be noted that like it's like Bard E where you're like locked into going through it. It's not like Aurelion Soul E, like you're going over all kinds of walls and you can just jump out whenever. But like if you go through a long wall, it's like you're gonna go the whole way.
Oh, okay. And then lastly, her ultimate, called Lightning Crash. Zeri discharges a nova of electricity, damaging nearby enemies, and overcharges herself for a moderate duration. So I'm thinking that means like 8 or 9 seconds. While overcharged, Zeri gains increased damage, attack speed, and move speed. Attacking enemies, champions refreshes the overcharge duration and adds another stack of move speed. While overcharged, burst fires damage concentrates into a faster triple shot that chains lightning between enemies. So I guess there's three parts there. Is that one, you activate it and it deals damage immediately. The second part is that it gives you a buff for a moderate duration, for more damage, attack speed, and move speed. And on top of that, the move speed increases as you hit people. The move speed and the duration increases as you hit people. And then
Hmm.
lastly, it buffs your Q to be quicker and also damage between people. I think it's a pretty cool ulti so far. It just seems like Vayne or Master Yi with regards to buffing yourself and getting all of these different stats. I'm
Right.
I'm glad to read that it doesn't reset or anything like that. I mean, it sounds like the duration increases, but what do you think so far of her ulti for an AD
Yeah, I
carry?
mean, it definitely looks. Yeah, I think it looks really fun. I like you said about the Master Yi stuff. Like, it's not resetting, but I think you have it indefinitely as long as you can stay attacking things. Like there's not a worry about losing it really. So like it sounds like it could be pretty cool. Like for like she's generally like short range kind of right, and like has to hit whatever's in front of her because her Q is a skill shot. So I can imagine like you having to like pop this pretty early on and using it to kite somebody for a little while, but as you're building up that move speed and building up that move speed, if you kind of finally kill the tank or whatever bruiser or whatever, you just can run around the rest of the fight, like dash in and get close to other people, and you're just going super fast because you have a ton of stacks up, and I can see that being like super exciting.
Yeah, and then I want to say that the initial burst of energy when you first activate it, in the clip, it looks really big, like bigger than Nunu ulti. So I wonder how much damage that portion of it is going to do. But yeah, I like ultimates that are like panic buttons, and this ultimate kind of seems like, oh, they're on me. I might as well use my ulti. Like I should use my ulti, and maybe that'll be what helps me get out of this situation or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, we'll see. Definitely, I'm
Yeah,
excited to try her
yeah.
out.
So
I think
cool
she looks like a
champion. I
lot of fun.
actually did not know that that was the cooldown of the Q, because that changes the whole thing fundamentally. So that
Yeah,
actually seems like a really cool champion to try out, and something really different that like is just different from all the other champions.
finally, an ADC that's different. Pog.
Yeah. And then with the start of the ranked season, we also have a new cinematic, which I was actually kind of watching it, and I don't really have any thoughts or care for it. Like it's cool. I'm not like a lore head or anything, and I don't know if something new happened that matters. But pretty cool cinematic. It has Kaisa in it, so two thumbs up from me. Any thoughts from
True,
you?
true. No, I mean, like you said, I'm not a lorehead either. I do think it was a fun watch, but yeah, like I haven't gone back and rewatched it and like been looking for, all the hidden clues or something about Arcane season 2 and all that sort of stuff. But it was cool. And yeah, Kaisa and Talia, I like them. Cool scene, cool champs.
Yeah. Actually, speaking of Arcane season two, I think that Riot put out a thing today of like Riot moving forward, and they might have like mentioned something about Arcane season two and possibly a movie in the works as well. Am I making this up, or did you see that as well?
You're not like technically making it up. I read the thing and it read like it's basically like the CEO of Riot is just giving like a State of the Union address kind of thing. But the only part that he mentioned about Arcane Season 2 was like, hey, we have a lot of cool stuff coming, like all these other games or Arcane Season 2, and then it was literally in parentheses plus more question mark, and that was it. So
Okay.
they didn't really say a movie, but could be another Fortnite collab. You'll never know.
True. Yeah. Actually, looking back on it, like it was finally cool to see like the Riot X and then the different kind of games and stuff, where it
Hmm.
felt like Jinx was everywhere, like on Reddit and Fortnite, and that sort of thing.
Hmm.
And I'm like, it's kind of cool to see Jinx and Vi in like random places and stores. Like I can't wait to go like to the Asian store and like I'll see like Vi and Jinx on like a bag of chips or something like that next to the BTS Pocky or something like that.
Right.
Um, it makes me feel kind of cool to be a League of Legends player every once in a while.
Yeah. You're like, hey, I played that game.
I played that
Hey,
game.
you
I
go
still play
you
that
go up to
game.
the cashier. You're like, hey, you guys, you know who this is? I actually I got a pentakill on Jinx the other night. So that's pretty cool.
Yeah, I have this skin.
And they're like, oh yeah, okay, cool. That's $3 for that bag of chips.
Yeah,
Thanks.
$3 for those starbursts. And then the last thing that I have written for us here to talk about is um, an article from Wired. And the title reads Riot Games is investigating a top esports team founder over bullying allegations. And I have the article open, and I want to read to you three paragraphs from this article. Uh,
3 paragraphs, bro.
yeah,
Okay, go
yeah,
ahead.
yeah. I know it's bed sleeper, but just bear with me to this. So it's gonna be the first two paragraphs and then the last paragraph. So again, from Wired.com to give our sources. One of the esports industry's most prominent leaders is under investigation for workplace misconduct. Current and former employees and esports pros have accused Team Solo Mid's founder and CEO, Andy Din, of verbally abusing and bullying them, sources tell Wired, in all capitals. Riot Games, which operates League of Legends Championship Series, in which TSM competes, launched an investigation late last year into Din's behavior. TSM also confirmed that it launched its own investigation around the same time. That's the first paragraph. We are aware of the allegations made about the CEO/owner of TSM, Riot Games told Wired over email. As the league operator, we have engaged the law firm of O'Melveny and Myers LLP to conduct an independent investigation of claims of misconduct made against the leader of this team, in accordance with standard league process. Both Riot and Din declined to comment on specific allegations, citing the ongoing investigative process. So that's the second paragraph. There's maybe like 20 paragraphs in between, but I just want to read to you the last one. A TSM spokesperson says the organization launched its own investigation last year, also, after public allegations against Din. Oh, Reginald. TSM immediately created an independent subcommittee and enlisted outside legal counsel and an independent investigator, the spokesperson said. She added that the investigation has Andy's full support and notes that Din recused himself from any oversight of the scope, nature, and conclusions of the investigation. TSM expects to announce the findings later this month. After our independent investigation had already begun, Riot contacted us and requested our cooperation in their own independent investigation regarding the complaints related to League of Legends players. Andy and TSM leadership have been in touch with Riot, and we are fully cooperating with them as well. So unfortunately, I skipped through a whole bunch of the article, but what I got out of this is that um, there's some people over at Wired who actually like reached out to Riot and both TSM, and they both responded to Wired with the following things: one, that okay, that the internet caused enough ruckus to for an investigation to begin on this, and that
Hmm.
it is happening. Um, two, that Riot is doing an investigation and TSM is investigating themselves in the manners described in those two paragraphs. And then three,
Yeah.
that there's
Waiting.
like some they're even both of them are even using like outside firms to do this investigation into what's going on here.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, yeah. What do you want to talk about it, dude? It's kind of like the all that stuff just feels like normal corporate-y stuff to me, honestly. Like if you thought that you had to do something, the like independent investigations and that kind of stuff, like that sounds like the normal due diligence if you want to be legally absolved of anything or like responsibility and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, yeah. It definitely sounds like if I just have to respond to this person over email, yeah, that was the perfect response to say of like, oh yeah, we're looking into it. Yeah, yeah, we'll tell you about it later, man. I can't talk about it right now. It's crazy
Right.
out here. Like I don't know. So I just thought that this was interesting, but like in a weird way, they like committed to themselves of like having to show the results of their investigation by the end of the month or something like that. But just an interesting
Yeah.
saga, coming from the outset of that whole double lifting that happened close to the end of last year. I just thought this was an interesting step that's built out of that I wasn't
Yeah,
expecting.
honestly, this is like the thing that I like when Double was having that whole like his whole tirade on stream about it and that kind of stuff for a few days, like I was more preferring that it would be like through something like this than just like yeah, I'm on stream and I hate TSM way out kind of thing, you know? Like cuz that's so one-sided and weird and like gets the whole like fan base like just like at each other's throats kind of thing. Um and I like if Double wanted to be like professional or like actually like do something to go after him, I thought it would have been like, oh, let me get in contact with Jacob Wolf or something, and we'll do like I've talked to Bjergsen and Spica and all these guys, and like they're all saying like, yeah, he's a fucking shitlord, and like you can do an expose kind of thing on it, right? Like honor like a real journalist doing that kind of stuff, and then it was just like, nah, Double didn't do shit. And then like on his stream today, I watched like a second of it while he had this open. He was like reading it, and he was like, "Man, let's see what this thing says." And then he was like reading it. It's like, "Wow, they're really just like painting me as like a React Andy here." Like he had never heard like he wasn't asked for comment. It was just like they looked at his stream. Like all those articles or the paragraphs in between are like talking about the different allegations or like going back to the Dyrus video and that kind of stuff. And so I was like, "Yeah, dude, shouldn't you have like talked to them about this? Isn't this like something you would do if you're actually going after the
Yeah,
guy
it's
instead of
like an
just
investigation. Isn't that what an investigation is?
yeah?" But I don't know. Like I'm kind of glad this is coming out. Like if this is like the real thing that they're gonna do, like Riot's gonna investigate. I'm curious what's gonna happen. Like if like the TSM side of it, you think like it's easy to think like yeah they're not they're gonna find no evidence or whatever, right? Or it was like within our guidelines or whatever. Like something like that could like easily happen. But at the same time, they just got a whole bunch of fucking money from other investors, right? Like I don't know how much like Reggie is like really in financially in charge of the company anymore with how much money they've gotten. So like I wouldn't be surprised if an independent investigation really found something like there could be shareholders that like actually oust the guy, but I think that's unlikely.
Yeah, I'm interested to see that like first of all, I doubt that anything is gonna happen. But if something were to happen, then what would it be? It's the part that I'm interested in because like you were
Yeah.
saying, like I don't I don't know if there's a an immediate replacement for somebody to replace Reginald if for some reason he can't be there. But like first of all, like
I mean,
I'm not
Riot,
exactly sure what rules are being broken here,
yeah. Yeah, I mean that's hard,
and then
especially with the
what is the
like
consequence of that, even if it is true.
right. Like no none of like everything that they talked about in when they referred to the investigation specifically, it was like we can't talk about any specific allegations, right? It was all like very like kind of touchy on that subject, but at the same time they could easily like have I don't know, I feel like Riot could like easily make some like bold like restrictions on Reginald or TSM after this. Like, I mean, they ousted Rick Fox, right? Like, Echo Fox got out of the whole scene because Riot said, "Look, this guy can't own a spot." Like, it wasn't Rick Fox, but like
Uh
he
huh.
was associated with it, right? And then they had to sell the whole team. So they're they have a history of like going to that extent, at least, you know. Not with like one of the co-founders of the esport, basically, but they could do it.
Yeah, you brought up a good point with Echo Fox and the whole situation that had gone on there with I think it was like one of their investors or something like that. Um,
I think one of the other founders, or yeah, maybe not founder, but like owner, like
yeah, it was somebody who had like contributed a significant amount of money to it. I don't remember if they're like a shareholder or like somebody on the board of
yeah.
directors or something like that. But
And he had enough shares, right? He had enough shares that like they couldn't just vote him out of selling his shares or something, right?
yeah,
Like
themselves.
he had could hold the team hostage basically
Yeah, and or
on a
like
no
pretty
surrender.
much yeah, Rick Fox had to leave on his own or something like that.
Yeah, yeah, I forget all the specifics now, but
Yeah.
something like that.
I mean, yeah, that because I'm interested to see like if at the end of it it's just like, hey, we finished the investigation and we're gonna find them. Like that's disappointing. Um, and what I said earlier, I don't mean to be like TSM is not guilty of anything. I might have given
Yeah.
that vibe off on accident earlier. But I'm just interested to see like I'm not sure that the punishment for whatever is going on here is going to be severe, especially because it's the co-founder of the esport, like you were saying, of in North America. I don't know.
Yeah, I do
I feel
wonder
like
if
there's gonna be something there.
yeah, I think they're gonna have to like, Riot's gonna have to write up a competitive ruling or whatever, and it's gonna need to detail like some incidents beyond like the Reggie berating Dyrus on stream video kind of thing. Like
Uh huh.
one that was like 10 years ago, and then two that it like I don't know that that's enough to constitute expelling the guy from the sport kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah. And this reminds me of like that Dave Chappelle episode where like they catch Dave Chappelle like doing drugs or something like that, and they're like, "We're gonna have to bring you in front of a committee," and then like they bring him in front of the committee, and he's just like, "I plead the fifth," and that's it, and then he gets away with it, and they don't
Yeah,
actually punish him, but they did their due diligence and had him end the court process and stuff like that, and that's
right.
it, and that's kind of what I feel like here is like really nothing. TSM's not going to be kicked from the league, man. Um, I don't know if anything serious can come out of this. They're like whoa, like that came out of the double lifting. Like I don't
Right.
think it's going to be that severe.
Yeah, I guess we'll just have to wait and see because I'm not a lawyer. I don't
Yeah.
know what the fuck's gonna happen.
All right, dude. I think we can wrap this episode up with some picks of the week, the first of this year. Out here on January 11th, 2022. I can go ahead and get us started here because I've got something
Yeah, take it
pretty
away.
simple. I'm gonna confess to you that I'm one of the abusers, and so my pick of the week is going to be first item Axiom Arc Malphite.
Abuser. Okay, go ahead.
It's just fun, dude. You ulti, and if you hit four people and you get 4 or 5 assists, then you get to ulti again right when they come back. It's what more do you want out of a champion? He does one thing, and he does it very well with
Uh-huh.
Axiom Arc. You're unleashed with the item. And
Okay.
you know what?
All
That's
right.
exactly what Malphite needs to compete in the modern era against these new champions like Gwen and Zeri. So you know what? Malphite needed this, and I think he's in a good place now. But thanks to that item.
All right. Um, I have one question. You haven't done any of your placement matches on the Rift yet, have
Oh
you?
no,
For
I've
the
never
new
played
ring
that game
season?
this year.
Okay. Phew. All right. I'm just gonna put this out there right now. I'm not duo queuing with you for these games. If Axiom Arc Malphite is gonna be on your mind, that's I'm just throwing that out there.
It's a core item now. It's a must build.
I've definitely thought about it in ARAMs, but usually I want to one shot somebody, and Axiom Arc doesn't help me with that. But
I just want to move fast.
I get the thoughts.
Yeah.
I get the thoughts. I get you.
I'm unstoppable. All right. What about you, man? You got anything for us?
All right, dude. And I don't now. You will know that this is a duplicate one, but I think it was from our episode that got lost to the archives. So my pick of the week is gonna be Senna ADC for this start of the season. I imagine I've been playing it a lot. Like that's kind of been my go-to, and it's like I don't know what the fuck is going on with my team comp or whatever. Like I'm just picking Senna. And I think we didn't talk about the patch preview that came out like the last couple of days or last week, maybe it was. But they're adding a slow back to Senna's Q. Well, back to like it didn't have it before, but like because Glacial doesn't exist in the same capacity, they're like going and adding a slow to her Q that like scales off of AD and stuff. So like I don't know. Like I've played enough AD Senna, like going Kraken Slayer, going like Runeans or Rapid Fire, or like those normal crit items, and the champ still feels pretty strong, especially when you like get going if you have the right team comp, like that kind of stuff. Like this is really good, I think. But I don't know. I I feel like giving her a slow just like on her ability like normal is gonna be kind of cracked. So wait for that to hit the live servers and go nuts with 80 Senna.
Yeah, definitely. And in this last episode, I said that I liked that you're building Hurricane on her because it helps kind of with the wave clear of like now you're not clearing waves at 2 minions an hour.
Hmm.
Dude, lately I've been having that like, have you ever seen that video of Scara brain lag? Like I've been having that a lot lately. Of just like my sentences finish like 5 seconds later.
Is it a synth? Did you like catch Omicron or something? Is this the
No, but
long
dude, I
COVID is
actually
just giving you
dodged
brain
it.
lag?
Like I'm actually so lucky because I went to a basketball game on New Year's Eve and for like
Uh-huh.
a work event and long story short, some people got it presumably from that event and some people did not, and I am part of the group that did not. However, when I went
Nice.
to go test, they took their sweet ass time and I had to wait like 4 days for my results, and I couldn't do shit this weekend.
What the fuck? What's the point of 4 days for a COVID test result, dude? You're practically past being infected by that point.
Yeah, so that was pretty lame, but you know what? We're scot free, and I can actually say that as far as I know, I've never tested positive. So, you know, almost 2 years have gone by, and I don't think I've had it. I mean, who
Nice.
knows? But just due to the nature of it. But I think we're smooth sailing.
Nice, dude. Hopefully, hopefully you didn't just jinx it. I'm knocking on wood for you.
Thank you. I needed that. And that's going to be it for episode 41 of On the Hunt, a League of Legends podcast, back for the new year. I hope you all enjoyed it, and if you did, be sure to subscribe to our podcast on the service that you're listening to us on if you haven't already. We appreciate it if you also gave us a rating or hit the like button to show us some support. You can find us on YouTube as well as your podcast player of choice, from Apple Podcasts to Spotify and so forth. We'll see you all next week for another episode of On the Hunt.
Season 2, baby.
41.
41. Season 41. Wait.